Welcome to KodaCast, the podcast where we explore the world of Web3, NFTs, and all things blockchain. I'm your host, Damski, and today we have an exciting episode lined up for you. Joining us is KBL, the founder of Kusama Kingdom, as well as Teddy DAO, an influential figure in the NFT and Web3 space. We'll be diving into their experiences, discussing the ever-evolving world of NFTs, and exploring the opportunities that Web3 has to offer. Sit back, relax, and let's jump right into the conversation. Hello there, how are you?
Hey, Damski. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Pleasure to be on KodaCast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. So can you share the story behind the creation of Kusama Kingdom and what inspired you to create this NFT project?
Yeah, so, God, it's been over like 17 months ago now since we came up with the idea. I was in Kyrgyzstan with my girlfriend, saw this picture of like a king-like figure and thought that would make a good NFT. And I guess background to that is this was at a time when NFTs were just starting to really kick off in the summer of 2021. And you were seeing all sorts of things happening. And I remember being on Singular trying to work out how to invest in these things. I'd been in crypto since 2017 and was just trying to get into NFTs. And I found, like, coming from a traditional finance background, I found it very hard to try and value. I mean, it's hard to value crypto, let alone NFTs. So that kind of gave me the idea that I could design one and do one with an investment focus and stuff like that and release it and see what happened. I mean, I didn't expect it to lead where it did. But I'm amazed and super grateful that it's managed to have the life and still have a thriving life 18, 17 months on. So yeah, the inspiration kind of came down from a frustration of my own from looking at other NFT projects. And then also, just wanting to deliver a really community investor focused NFT that gave back value in the long run to the holders.
I see. So how did that work out, like giving back the value to the holders? Did people, make their fortune on it, or what's the status now like for the collectors, let's say?
Yeah, so I mean, some like any collections, there were people who were flipping them at the start. We had, to be honest, we didn't have that many flippers because it's a small collection, originally 110 kings. But naturally that happened, and some people, if they got in early, they managed to flip them for a large sum. Naturally, well, because we didn't do a mint price, they were all auctioned off pretty much. We listed a few at the start to experiment, but initially we were just auctioning them. So that was always people pay the market value that on that day, right? Like, it's up to the market. Like, people bid for something, and then whoever bids the most gets it. So I think a lot of NFT project you see, there's a mint price. If it drops below the mint price, people start to get annoyed. And naturally that can happen with an auction as well. But it's essentially the market that chose the price. And like we've seen across NFTs of it and the fall in the KSM price as well, the price of these things have gone down. But Vampsy from Wag Media actually did a really interesting article that analyzed the history of the kings and queens and the sales and everything. And it showed that by holding one of these things, it actually outperformed RMRK token, KSM token, I think Polkadot token as well over the period. So as an actual store of value, it did perform a lot better, and people, they're still liquid. People are still able to trade in and out of them, which is a great thing. And that's something that we really wanted to be something that, to be able to create a collection that people would continually want demand for, because otherwise you just have a load of liquid JPEGs. So we're still happy, but we're still building, and we still strive for more, where there's a huge demand for these things and people are able to sell them at much higher prices.
All right, I see. I mean, like collection like this, let's say it's a kind of a huge collection, or at least has a couple of community members. So, how did the team members come together, and what unique skills and experience like each of the member has?
Yes, I mean, well, the team so it's basically, I came up with the idea, and then my cousin is a graphic designer. So I basically emailed or text her saying, I have this idea for an NFT. Can you please brought me an example of a king, and then we had a bit of a back and forth over a couple of weeks, and then we launched it, and that essentially was the team. So she did the art, and then I kind of handled everything else. And my background is in traditional finance. I now work at a venture capital fund in the Web3 space. So that I kind of came at it from like a financial background in terms of trying to think about the supply dynamics, the demand dynamics, and then underneath that, right, trying to deliver the funds that we run on behalf of the communities below the NFTs, and using the community to form councils or investment panels, and leveraging like all the amazing talent we have within our community that are still, I would say, probably one of the most active discords in terms of investment advice and things like that. So that kind of, I guess, vision I had kind of proliferated out through the community, and now I like to think of it as this like decentralized venture capital like investment group that kind of grew from those origins.
Okay. Like when we would, so the project launched in 2021, right?
Yeah.
So that was it a bull market back then, or?
Yeah, so that was probably peak NFTs season. So like late 2021. Well, that was the peak of the whole bull market, right? I think Bitcoin topped down in November 2021. Altcoins shortly after. Similar to like the singular NFT market at that time was like peak. People were being able to like mint out anything getting listed. People were trying to snipe on their weekends. So it was a crazy time. So yeah, we launched into that wave, which certainly helped in terms of engagement. You see now it's really hard for projects to get just engagement on Twitter and build up a following and build up a community, because engagement's down across the whole of crypto Twitter, and you lose naturally when the bear market comes, you lose a load of people. So we were lucky to be able to bootstrap that engagement and community in the bull market. And now it gives us the chance now through this bear market to really strengthen as a community, build out the utility. We're going to release a DApp on A-Star soon, and doing things like that, so that then when we go into the next bull run, we're perfectly poised to take advantage of it.
I see. So, what like how did you manage the let's say from the time when you launched and then through this bear? What's basically new in Kusama Kingdom, let's say?
As in what's new within the project since in the bear market?
Yeah, like basically, if you've been building, I guess, most of the stuff, right, throughout the bear. So, what is the like most upcoming thing about the project itself?
So the way it kind of works is we have the kings and the queens, and then each of those have an investment fund below them that's managed by elected members of the community. So throughout last year, like that was a very tough time to be investing, but our kings fund only went down 10% versus the wider market of whatever 60, 70%, in some KSM 80%. So we still have a really decent size amount of capital there that we're now starting to get a lot more deal flow in terms of venture deals that we're looking to enter. So it's basically been a case of just speaking to different project teams like week in, week out, and not just in Polkadot. We have good connections in Cosmos, Avalanche, Polkadot, of course, and just like going through deals and just working out the best place to deploy our funds. And then similar with the Queens, that's purely focused on like DeFi strategies. So we run certain DeFi strategies with the capital in that fund to then supply sustainable yield each quarter to the holders. So that actually the second quarter is coming up tomorrow in terms of if people want to vote to get paid out or to retain it. And we try and keep it delta neutral, so not expose that money to fluctuations in underlying prices of assets, so it can be sustainable yield. And we're yielding about 27% on that at the moment, which is good. And then in terms of other little things that we're looking to do, like I mentioned, this DApp on A-Star that should be going up for votes soon, which will be the Royal Raffle, which will allow people to win monthly prizes, which will hopefully get some good engagement, and working closely with the A-Star team as well. So trying to dip into other things there as well.
Okay, awesome. So what is the significance of the Great Hall private Discord, and how does it contribute to the Kusama community?
Yeah, so I mean, the Great Hall started on day one, I guess, where we created this private channel for the first four. It would have been the first five like king holders. And there's a really funny like picture of someone like the first ever messages of just being like, created a channel for the kings, let's see where this goes. And then that was called the Great Hall, and there was one channel. And I mean, since then, that's kind of just what we refer to as the whole Discord now. I think there's 80 to 85 channels now of covering different things, whether that's FUD, different ecosystem channels like Polkadot, Cosmos, Arbitrum, events, AI, like all sorts of things, even outside of crypto. So it's just become this online forum, I guess, for people to talk about anything and everything. But the main focus is on investing. That's just the nature of the people that have come into it, and just the kind of the culture. So very much great for people with any experience to come in, learn from some of the great minds that we have in there. And yeah, it's been amazing to see how active it's been throughout the bear market. A lot of these communities have really trailed off and started to die out, but to see the constant engagement and stuff throughout the bear market, I think really bodes well. And the commitment people have to the project is really great.
All right, so that's basically like another utility for the Kusama Kingdom holders, right? So they have access to this Discord.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get access to the Discord as one of the utilities.
I see. So can you explain the concepts of the King's Bounty and the Queen's Jewels, and like how they offer unique benefits to the holders?
Yeah, so I did kind of just touch on this in a bit, and so the King's Bounty refers to the fund that supports the King NFTs. So 110 King NFTs that started as a $110,000 fund, and as I mentioned, just dropped 10% over last year. So now it's sitting just over $100,000. And the purpose of that, and that's now spread across various assets. And the purpose of that is originally to be like a venture capital fund. So you would have seen throughout the bull market, if you're getting into some of these venture deals, they would 10, 50x on launch. That's how like a lot of people made a lot of money, or a lot of VCs, and then lost a lot of money. So our aim is to kind of build this decentralized brand as a venture capital firm or DAO, and then deploy that capital into deals. Now, last year, the market for deals was not good at all. We held our ground, and we had a lot of deals we could have entered, but we didn't. We were very conservative. Like, they didn't make sense. The tokenomics were rubbish. The valuations were off. So we kind of deployed a strategy of just trying to either do farming strategies, hedge it, do various things, and then deploy into blue chip liquid tokens, which so now we've got pretty good Bitcoin, ETH positions, and are now just like waiting for that long term, buying these assets, waiting for them to ride up into the next bull market, and then we'll rotate them out and back into venture deals for the next bull market. And then the way that works is that each quarter, whatever we make on that fund, 30% is then allocated to King holders, NFTs, depending on rarities, and things like that. If you have a Legend of the Lost Sword, you get 2x that payout. So that's kind of the theory behind the King's Bounty, and that's more of a venture-focused fund and utility. And then the Queen's Jewels is very much the same concept, but not focused on venture or investing in blue chip NFTs. It's focused on yield strategies. So that would involve like putting it into liquidity pools, or putting it into interlay vaults, or doing other sorts of farming, where the aim is to not speculate on the delta risk of a token. You're trying to limit it to as much prices move. You don't really want our principal value to change, but we do want to still be earning yield. And that's quite hard to do. So we have to take some delta risk to get higher yields. And I think we're running at about now that 25% of it is exposed to price movements. And then we're yielding around 27 to 30% on it. And again, at the end of each quarter, the holders can vote that if 30% of what we've made that quarter gets paid out, or we just reinvest and compound. So that's kind of the two. So you can see how in a bull market, the Kings one, you could see that accelerating like pretty rapidly, whereas the Queens, much more potentially conservative. Obviously, the yields you earn in farming go way up, maybe take on a bit more risk in some of the pools. But that's kind of just more for like sustainable yield. So kind of two different choices that people can kind of go with if they prefer like more stable returns or like higher risk returns.
I see. Have you been thinking of implementing also some short strategies to basically secure some of the profits during the bear market, for example?
So we use shorts to hedge positions and earn yield that way, especially in the Queen's jewels. So yeah, there's like definitely stuff we explored. I mean, we did have someone at FTX that we were using, and then that disappeared.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Well, there's this King Pad initiative, which provides opportunities for king holders to access seed and private rounds of crypto projects. So how does that work?
Yeah, so that's actually for king and queen holders. So that's kind of any venture deal, right, that we're looking at for the King's Bounty. We tend to open up for holders to put in their own capital if they want. And again, last year, like I said, the market was off, so we do try and be responsible. We don't want to just open up to anything and everything and become some sort of like launch pad. So we are being like the King's Council kind of goes through these deals first. And obviously I work at a Web3 venture fund, so that obviously also helps in terms of like the deal flow there. But the aim is to be able to, and for people like wondering, like luckily we have a great legal team and stuff like that. Like the legal structure of this has to be like super careful. But essentially it allows people to enter into the deals through the King's Bounty with their own capital. So let's say the King's Bounty is putting in $10,000 into this private round. It could be the case that, and we've had it in past where $200,000 has been raised from the community, and then that also goes into the deal, and then each person would have their own token allocation. So it allows people to up their exposure if they want to, which you can see in like a bull market, if things are like 10, 20xing when these things come out, then that can end up being pretty profitable for holders if they wish to take on that extra risk themselves.
Wow. Okay. So have you done some offline meetups for the holders?
Yeah, and like this is like for me, this is the best bit. But for real world events, we try and like I go to quite a few conferences and stuff. So if I'm ever going anywhere, we'll always post. And it's normally the big ones. Like the last one was Ethereum Denver. Few kings met up there. That was a great time. And then we also have our like annual meetup, which is in Amsterdam for the public holiday King's Day, which is super relevant. That's next month. So we did that last year. It was amazing. I think we had about 25 to 30 people come through for that. And that's amazing, right? Because that like it kind of blew me away, because you build these online communities, you build these NFT projects, and you speak to these people all day, every day, and then when you meet in real life, it's like crazy because you don't really know who's on the other end of the screen. But everyone who came, like everyone got on like a house on fire. And it was amazing. And it's like just like this community has built like solid friendships. And some of the kings have done their own meetups in like Switzerland, which was really cool. One guy was actually saying in the Discord yesterday, someone came around his house and saw he had a king poster on his wall, and he was like, "Oh my god, no way! Like you're a Kusama King. Like I've seen like stuff from that." He was like, "How the hell did you know about it?" So yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, I think it's like seen footage from the Amsterdam trip and stuff. So yeah, we're really big on like doing in as much real world stuff as you can, and it's hard because the holder base is spread out all over the world. Trying to prioritize. Some people are in Australia, some people are in Singapore, people are in Vegas. So it is hard, but anytime we're traveling anywhere, we'll flag it, and then as many people who can come to Amsterdam, do. So yeah, we really love that. I think it's super important.
Yeah, I can agree on the fact that basically doing community meetups or conferences or basically just meeting the people IRL is really important to basically bond with the people and get like more trust going. So I would say this is awesome. So Kusama Kingdom is also involved in charity initiatives. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for the charity stuff, we did charity auction for one of the kings. It must have been the end of 2021 or very early 2022, and that got great engagement. Like people, obviously, like really rallied around that, and it got a really decent price, and we managed to donate that money to their choice, which was UNICEF. And then we also did an effort for the Ukraine efforts where we did a raffle and sold tickets, and then someone won a queen. So that's always been like a part of our ethos. And then where I work, as part of Lucky Friday, we've now kind of focused on doing a project purely for charity, which is Teddy DAO. And kind of that's hopefully going to launch on Moonbeam either the end of this month or next month. And that's partnered with Just Giving, which is one of the largest online charity platforms in the world. So that's really great. One, to be able to bring them over to the Polkadot ecosystem, and two, do a profit. I mean, a charity that is purely for non-profit. Like we don't take a fee or anything like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that does. And that was kind of born out of the way the Kusama Kingdom got engagement and realized the demand that you could get for people wanting to donate crypto to charities is just really hard to do. So by doing it in a simple way through NFTs, hopefully we'll be able to onboard a load of traditional donors using the Talisman wallet, which is super easy to then buy Glimmer on your credit card. Like a few clicks and you've onboarded them, and they don't have to speculate, right? They're just doing their normal donation that they would have done and getting an NFT. So there's no like risk of being rugged or anything like that. They've done the same thing, but now they've been onboarded into crypto, and then hopefully also show charities the kind of cool stuff you can do in order to get donations. So yeah, that should be really interesting and something we can be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, I've been chatting about this with the funky one, basically.
Oh yeah.
As we've also host also on the podcast, so we got through a little bit on Teddy DAO and also the Lucky Friday. So it's good that you mentioned it. I actually really like the initiative. So I hope this is gonna go well. And plus, I see it's a really nice, let's say, entry to the Polkadot ecosystem. So very good initiative.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So how do you see the future of like NFTs in the, let's say, Kusama or Polkadot ecosystems? How do you see them evolving?
Well, I mean, it's hard to know, right? It's all down to people's creativity and imaginations. Like NFTs have the ability, if you think of crypto as trying to disrupt like finance, NFTs have the ability to disrupt everything else, any other asset, right? Whether it's property, cars, the way we just transfer documents and ownership. Like the sky really is the limit, whether that's like focusing on real world assets, whether that's focusing on gaming. It really is just down to the people and the ability to disrupt, but the sky really is the limit. And in terms of Polkadot and Kusama, I think it's had a relatively rough start in terms of trying to get mainstream exposure in the crypto communities. Like we still have such niche, small communities here, which are amazing in their own right because it allows such intimate communities and relationships to form, and that in itself is incredible value. But you also have now seen in the bear market so many projects drop off, not just in Polkadot and Kusama, but everywhere. And what you really don't want to see is having an ecosystem where it's just a case of NFTs coming up in the bull market, creators selling, and then in the bear market they just drop off and they feel no obligation to their communities to deliver value. And the kind of way we think about it is the Kusama Kingdom is essentially like a corporation, a DAO, I guess you could call it, but let's just say corporation in the traditional world. And everyone who owns one of these NFTs is a shareholder or a limited partner in the fund. And that doesn't go away. Like we have a statutory duty to continually supply value to the holders. And we all continue to work, and I will continue to work and manage the funds and whatever until everyone tells me not to, which will hopefully be never. But that is something that's a lot important. And I get it, right? Like it's hard. Like motivation drops, like money dries out. Maybe you even finish the mint and it isn't producing money anymore. Royalties is a huge topic now, where especially in Polkadot Kusama, there's a lot of OTC trades. Now in Ethereum, they're basically saying zero royalties. So the creators essentially have to, whatever they made at mint, make that last and create something that's sustainable, which is hard to do, and communities can be demanding. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think what we have here in Polkadot Kusama is really great tech. We have really great people, and hopefully we can attract more and start delivering some really incredible projects. And I when I go to conferences and try and tell them about the ecosystem and try and get people to come on, I do my best to do that, and hopefully over time we will accrue some really great projects, and it will be great to have been one of the first ones in here, and hopefully have a legacy and support new people coming in. And that's one of the other great things about Polkadot, because all the NFT projects are supportive of each other. Like we do collabs with each other and stuff like that, and it is this amazing environment. Obviously that universe has gotten a bit smaller over the last year, but there's still amazing projects around. So hopefully we can just foster a great environment and then build from there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also with the better improvements right now on the, let's say, onboarding to the ecosystem, even either through wallets or, for example, various NFT projects, I think we are heading hopefully a good direction. So I can see that like your project Kusama Kingdom is very well structured in terms of utilities, in terms of community, and in terms of basically setting the financial side of things inside the project. So what advice would you give to people who want to start a similar project or who want to set their tokenomics well?
Yeah, I think is just thinking through the longevity of it is important, right? Like back to that earlier point of just, if you just mint and then drop off or get bored and stuff, it's just not fair on the community. So you really have to think about how can this survive the duration, and how can this continually support itself and provide utility in the long term. So I would, coming up with a sustainable roadmap, not just a hype roadmap that's just and you also have to think, it's quite hard to do without doing continual dilutions, right? Of, okay, this one happened, we've got this, and now it's dying off a bit. So now we're going to do this new thing, and everyone like buys into this. And I think there's clever ways to do that. Whether like something we've kind of thought about is whether we do a community NFT launch. So everyone who holds a king and a queen, we would do together, form an NFT project for, let's say you did it in Arbitrum, and then from the mint of that, everyone chips in ideas, everyone does it, and then every NFT holder gets a share of the mint of the new project. Now that's a very sustainable method, because the original holders are getting all the proceeds and benefits from the brand that they help build into the next launch. Whereas if you see a lot of projects, they take the brand that the communities help them build, like the Kusama Kingdom brand is a pure direct value of the people within it and that have supported it. So they create the brand equity. So for me to then say, okay, I'm going to launch Kusama Kingdom 2.0 over here using the value that you guys have all given me, it's pretty unfair. But a lot of projects do that, right? So the way I would see like being able to do that would be you do it as a community. Like, look, we've all created this brand together. Let's go launch this other one over here, and everyone splits the mint price, or some things like that. Like they're sustainable. So I just think sustainability is the key, because in the bull market, you saw it, right? On Singular, people were just springing up NFT projects left, right, and center, and they'd sell. And like, obviously, I'm a massive believer in the free market. Like, if someone's willing to buy it, then that's kind of on them, unless there's over promising and false promises and stuff like that. So as long as you're not false advertising, which we do see a bit of, there's a lot of promises that get flown around and mysteries and all this, and whether it's real value or not. But at the end of the day, no one's forced to buy anything. But I would think, yeah, definitely if you're thinking of, especially with one with financial incentives and stuff, firstly, definitely get the legal side of it all checked out and make sure you do it, structure it properly, because otherwise that will get messy and probably come back to bite you. And then, yeah, just think of how you can do it long term and add value and create engagement, which is harder to do now. But project like Buddies, for example, is doing a great job of it still throughout the bear market. I think they just launched Moon Buddies today on Rare Sama, and that sold out within an hour. And the way he's structured that is great and sustainable and value adding. So you can definitely do it, but it's just not as easy. It seems easy to launch an NFT project, right? And Singular made it easy. You just go on, you click create NFT, and you upload a JPEG. But it's like everything, right? You're still, even if it's easy to do it well and to do it right, it's not that easy. So you have to have a proper plan. You have to think about it, structure it. Yeah, I would just say take your time and think if it's something you really want to get into, because believe me, it takes a lot of time and a lot of commitment to keep it going and to engage with your community forever, essentially.
Wow, that's really nice alpha from you. Thank you so much for the insight. I think a lot of people can use this because with the rising bull market, maybe we are looking at new collections being launched, and I would like to definitely see more HQ collection rather than just fully minted out, whitelist, pre-sale, and then just go away. So thank you so much for the incredible conversation. We have covered a lot of ground discussing life in Web3, exciting world of NFTs, and various opportunities also in the Kusama Kingdom or in Teddy DAO. So thank you so much for joining. For me, it was amazing experience because I mainly got a little bit deeper into the Kusama Kingdom. I honestly didn't know that it's like this structured. So congrats on that. And I will see the others at the next episode. Give us a follow, like, subscribe, and see you at the next one.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.